even about energy, even about the horrible border condition that they're allowing millions of people to come into our country, people that we have no idea, but people aren't talking about that, talking about the disaster of Afghanistan. Not only have my predictions come 100% true, but it's even worse than any of us could have imagined in our worst nightmare. Nobody thought this kind of thing could happen. Biden has obliterated our border, given up our energy independence, caused soaring inflation. He failed totally on economic and policies. I mean, you look at what's going on, it's crazy. And the senators that voted for this $1.2 trillion bill, of which they call it infrastructure, but only 11% is infrastructure. Where the hell are these people coming from? It's the roadmap. They call it the glide path. It's the roadmap to the Green New Deal, conceived and dedicated by AOC, a real beauty. She's a real beauty. She knows more about the environment. I don't think she ever even did she ever take a course? She wasn't a good student. Did she ever take a course on the environment? Remember when we first said, you have 12 years to live, she said 2 years ago. That means you have, right now, you're about 9.5 years. Somehow, you're not worried about that, but you are worried about China and Russia and other places, okay?
Well, Governor, thank you very much. It was an honor to endorse you and strongly endorse you, highest and best endorsement. And I did notice your phone numbers are through the roof, and I'm very happy. And you've done a great job. We're really honored to be with you and with Dan and with Ken. We've had a great team. And the people in this room, everyone is a friend of mine. In one form or another, we dealt with each other for a period of 4 years. And we brought the border to a level that it has never been. Mark, you have been incredible. Tom Homan has been unbelievable. And nobody knows it like Tom. And I have to say, Chad, you did a great job. You stepped up, you came in and you stepped up and you did a great job. And we appreciate it. And you're still doing a great job. But the border has never been this way. It went from the best border we've ever had in the history of our country, not 20 years, you know, they like to say over a 22-year period. No, it's the best ever by far. It took 2.5 years to start the wall because we were sued by everybody, and then, and largely by the Democrats in Congress, by the way. And now, by the way, they're doing a disinformation campaign. They're saying that the unsafe border is your fault. You believe this? Because they're getting killed with the border. So now they're saying, oh, we got a problem. So let's blame the sheriffs. Let's blame the governors. Let's blame everybody else but them. They're also saying it would defund the police. They came out with a term, defund the police. And they're, you know, it's well documented, that's for sure. Just look at AOC and look at Omar. How's she doing? How's her country doing, by the way? And they're telling us how to run our country right now. How are they doing? And now they're saying, no, it was them, us, that wanted to defund. It's like Russia. Everyone said, Russia. I said, what's that all about? And they said, oh, you were very friendly. Well, that's been proven to be false, not only false. It was them that were associated with Russia. It was them, the Democrats and Hillary and the group that gave money to Russia. So it's a disinformation campaign, and it's a terrible campaign where they're trying to say this is a disaster for them. Let's blame the people that have really done something about it and can do something about it. But when your hands get tied because you no longer control the White House or Congress, it's a disgrace. Dan, we worked on it hard and we worked on it long, and we discuss it every week. And we had it down to a point that we'd never seen anything like it. I'm so glad that you mentioned the fentanyl, because the fentanyl was almost a non-factor. And now I hear it's just pouring into our country. And it's the most dangerous of all, but just pouring into our country. And we stopped also human trafficking, mostly in women. The human trafficking was almost stopped. We built almost 500 miles of wall, despite 2.5 years of lawsuits, litigation, started by Congress, Nancy Pelosi and the Congress. They sued us for everything. And we won the suits that we started, and within a few months you would have had the wall totally complete, and they ought to paint it. They're supposed to paint the wall, and they aren't even doing that. They got to get a coat of paint on the wall. Believe it or not, it does rust. Maybe that's what they like. Let it rust, let it rot. but we built a wall that was not a wall that anybody could get through. We had very few breakthroughs, unbelievably few. It just, the only breakthrough is let them walk around to the few open areas where you have, we had problems or land disputes, et cetera, et cetera. All of those problems were resolved, so we got them resolved. So you could have completed the wall in a couple of months, and they decided not to. Now I hear rumors that they want to do it, but it's only common sense. You know, they were saying we want high-tech security. And I used to go around in speeches, I said, the two things that will never get old are a wheel and a wall. And it's true. I mean, when you get right down to it, the wall worked, really worked. And again, almost 500 miles of wall, and then we had another 200 that we were thinking about doing, less important areas from the standpoint of people coming in, but nevertheless, are very important. We discussed it. And we did a great job, and within a period of a few months, it was all dissipated. Remain in Mexico, so important. Catch and release, we broke that one. Chain migration, where people come in and then they bring everybody else in with them. We did a hell of a job, and we had it down to really a science. It was down to a point where people just weren't getting in unless they came in legally. And again, the drugs had dropped by 70, 80, 90% in some cases, and fentanyl is true. It almost dropped to nothing for whatever reason, but I guess the reason was we were tough. This was a great group, and all they had to do is go to the beach. If they went to the beach and did nothing, they would have been fine. And they could have even had other people with your policies take your places if they felt that they want Democrats, but that usually doesn't work out too well. But Chad, you and Mark and Tom on the outside, I mean, it was just an amazing group of people. And I'll tell you, Brandon has been incredible. From day one, he came to me from day one. It's no games, no nothing. You knew that we were going to do it right. And I'd ask him a lot. I'd say, what do you think about this? I was calling him once every 4 or 5 days to get his advice, because nobody knows. Like, for instance, on the wall, I was going to build a very good precast concrete wall. Would have been really fast. I loved it. I was going to do super hard precast, the 5,000-pound concrete. And the Border Patrol hated it because they wanted to be able to see through. I said, why? And after we go through, then we put the panels on top. And you're all nodding, it's true. The panels on top, it's sort of a safety climb, no climb panel. And that panel adds great difficulty to being able, believe it or not, because a couple of people said, why'd you put the panel on top? And it was really a no climb panel. It's very hard to climb it. Once you get there, then you have the panel on top of everything else. So I did it 100% as per Border Patrol, ICE, and everybody else, in conjunction even with your top people. We designed the wall. It was terrific. You know, you see it as steel, but it's not really. It's steel on the outside. It's hardened concrete on the inside of the bollards. And then it's also rebar, and it's a very heavy rebar and a very powerful rebar, very strong rebar, steel. So we had steel, concrete, and steel, and when they cut through it, they gotta really want to get through. They gotta really want to get through. And we've had almost no instances of that. So we built a wall that was not penetrable, and we were just about finished, and then we had an election where we did much better than we did the first time. And amazingly...
It's a bankrupt Medicare bill. It's a bankrupt Social Security bill. They'll bankrupt both of them. And it's a naked power grab by the likes of Biden and Pelosi and Kamala Harris. Hasn't she done a great job on the border? And Bernie Sanders is in there too. And Omar, how about Omar? Omar's in there too. She doesn't like Israel too much, does she, huh? Didn't she marry her brother, right? She came in, she married her brother. This is nice. And they don't do anything about it. They don't do anything about it. With us, they do everything, right? Oh, they do everything.